Are you sitting on your daily commute thinking longingly about your next holiday? Are you filled with so much wanderlust that you've got no idea where to go next? Or have you got your next trip booked and in the bag and you're looking for tips and tricks to make it all go smoothly? Then, welcome to the TRAVELUST Podcast. Join me, Sam Sparrow, every fortnight as I chat to the people who've built their life around a desire to experience the world. As a travel blogger and wannabe professional city breaker, I'm nosy, and we get deep into travel memories, favourite destinations, and tips to make your next trip go with a bang. I'm so excited to welcome Bee Clayton from QueenBeady.com onto the TRAVELUST today. Bee is a travel, lifestyle and fashion blogger from Yorkshire who spent many years in her early career working in the travel and tourism industry. I get the gossip on what life was really like as a travel agent, and Bee chats about some of her favourite holiday destinations. We talk about the UK's forgotten hidden gems and how to deal with disappointment when travelling. And as an added extra, Bee shares her love of hiring quad bikes when on her holidays and the best booking tip you'll ever hear. Honestly, there are some priceless travel tips sprinkled across today's episode, so grab a paper and pen. Remember to tweet me at Sam R. Sparrow with the hashtag TheTravelUst with your favourite travel tips and memories and your perspective on what we discuss. You can find even more travel content on my website at thesparrowflies.com along with all of the podcast episodes. Are you packed? Then let's go. So, welcome to this podcast and welcome to the wonderful Bee from the amazing blog and Instagram, I should say, queenbeady.com. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's very exciting. I will say that we have been gabbing for about 45 minutes before we've even started. So
we
have been gabbing about all kinds of life things. So sorry, you're not going to get to listen to that. But we're here to talk about all of the amazing travel experiences and travel tips that you have. But before we dive into that, do you want to give there's no one in the internet world that doesn't know you. But for those that might have been under some kind of weird cave-like rock, do you want to give a little introduction to yourself?
Of course, I think you've bigged me up a little bit too much there, but thank you. Thank you, it's done wonders for my confidence. I'm Bee, and as Sam said, I blog at queenbeady.com. I actually originally started back in about 2008. I started writing a blog called Rebecca Likes to Travel. But I realised that not only did I enjoy travel, I enjoyed talking about lifestyle and fashion. So I migrated over to queenbeady.com.
I did not know that you had Rebecca Likes to Travel.
Yeah, back in the day when blogging wasn't really a thing and, you know, it was almost like it was the deep, dark web. I actually had a little travel blog, but obviously migrated everything across when I got a bit more of a whiz at blogging and just realised that I didn't just want to hone in on one thing. So here I am, queenbeady.com today. So yeah.
Amazing stuff. And I will be bigging up your blog at the end and at the beginning and all the things, but everyone should basically go to it because it's an amazing blog and your Instagram is incredible. So yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. So I want to get into a little bit about kind of how travel has become such a big part of your life and a passion for you. But first of all, I'm going to ask you, do you have kind of an earliest travel memory? What's your first memory of travelling or going on holiday?
Actually, it was going on coach holidays with my nana and granddad.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. We used to go up and down the UK with this firm called Eddie Brown's. I don't know how I even remember that. And we'd go to places like Torquay, Bournemouth, you know, all the sort of southern UK coastal towns. And we also had a caravan in Bridlington, which is on the Yorkshire coast. So for me, growing up, it was more about UK destinations. There was the odd jaunt to Amsterdam when we were younger. Well, it was nearly every year because my granddad had a best friend that worked over there.
Oh, wow.
So we went a lot on the what was then the North Sea ferries, which is now P&O. So those are probably my earliest memories. So bigging up UK staycations, definitely.
I think it might be a generational thing as well, because I think I'm a bit older than you. We'll say a bit, because that makes me
Oh,
feel
you're
better
not
about
that much
life.
older.
But I definitely think that sort of for our generation, like UK holidays were
Mhm.
definitely the thing. I think now for the youngsters growing up, it's so cheap to go across to Spain or places like that, that perhaps they're not doing as much of the whole caravanning kind of vibe that we might have grown up with.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you on that, definitely. But it is such a shame because the UK does have so many hidden gems to offer that we kind of forget about it. I think it's just the Generation X where we're all wanting to do things and be out there and experience brand new things all the time. I think that's a huge part of it as well. And we kind of dismiss the UK. So I think that really plays a massive part in it now.
I totally agree with you. So I recently went to Stonehenge, and I only live about an hour and 20-minute drive from Stonehenge. I've lived
Mhm.
there all my life, and I had never been to Stonehenge. And Stonehenge is
Wow.
kind of like I guess, in the southwest. Like that's a big tourist attraction.
Yeah.
And I'd never been. And I think, I've been on a bit of a mission to just see as much of Europe as possible. And then you do kind of forget that there's some awesome places. I spent a bit of time, I live in London, and yet I
Mhm.
spent a couple of days just seeing it as a tourist because I take it for granted.
I
Um,
think we do. We
yeah.
really do.
So, do you feel that the coach trips that you took, you said you went with your grandparents. I did a lot of holidaying in the summer holidays with my grandparents as well, which was the
Yeah,
best fun. Do you
it
think
is.
that helped to shape kind of your kind of desire to travel, your experiences as you got older?
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. Even just going a few hours up the road, it was just about experiencing something new. And I love that feeling. I absolutely love it. So it's about finding those hidden gems and finding somewhere cool to eat. And it all plays part of the experience. So I have a lot to thank my nan and granddad for obviously introducing me to travel in my life. Because if it wasn't for them, who knows? I don't know whether I would be as quite as adventurous as maybe what I am now.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. I think that family influence growing up has been a real theme of kind
Mhm.
of those early travel memories and shaping that desire to travel. And it's definitely been a huge part of my life. So, in terms of, I guess, your kind of relationship with travel to date,
Mhm.
um, how has travel become such a big part of your life from those early coach holidays and ferries across to Amsterdam, kind of to where we are and where you are now? What's been the journey?
Well, when I was at school, I actually took travel and tourism as one of my GCSEs and then took it as an AS level. We won't go into the fact that I didn't do my second year at A level, but that's by the by. So I've always had this sort of passion for travel and the sort of the behind the scenes aspect of it as well. So when I decided to leave sixth form, I went and got myself an apprenticeship at TUI, or Thompson's as what everybody will know them as, Thompson Holidays. And I did a year as apprenticeship with them, and just learning about all the different destinations just really inspired me to get off my butt and actually go and see these places a lot more. So I've been very fortunate that with obviously my job that I did get to visit a few places with the company, and also cheaper travel, which is a massive bonus. So I've been able to travel maybe 3 or 4 times a year, um, right from when I first started my career in travel, um, up until obviously the present day. And I don't think that will ever stop. It's something that when you get that bug for travel, it stays with you. You want to just keep continuing and doing it more and more and more, and finding new places and experiencing different cultures, different foods, different places. I think it just stays with you if you've got that passion for it.
Yeah, and it's really amazing when you can combine that passion, or certainly for you, that burgeoning passion, with your career.
Yeah.
So when you did your apprenticeship, and then did you stay on to be a travel agent?
Yeah, so I've been in travel for about 8 years. So I did my apprenticeship and then moved on to another independent agency. just in my local village. And that was just a completely different experience because we were dealing with tour operators that were part of ATO, which is the
Ah.
Association of Independent Tour Operators. So these were the really nitty-gritty tour operators that were getting really into the heart of destinations and giving people a more cultural, enriching experience, as opposed to, obviously, your bucket and spade tour operators like Thompson's and Thomas Cook that, again, we all know of.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the cooperative travel. Sadly, I was made redundant in that position. And I sort of rolled my socks up and I thought, this is an industry that I absolutely adore and want to continue working in. And I went and got a job at cooperative travel. And I was put on their books, and then I went up to assistant manager, and I then became sort of part of the management team, overseeing the, all manners of things. And then I got a promotion to move to a store closer to home with Thomas Cook. And Thomas Cook at this time and Co-op Travel merged to one company. So I moved up the rankings there and became sort of the assistant store manager, but working with a cluster manager. So yeah, all in all, it was about 8 years I was in travel.
That's incredible. That's just incredible. I'm going to ask you about whether you've got any funny stories about people booking their travel, because I imagine that you have got a few anecdotes. But also, there must be something quite special about working kind of face to face with people that are booking, holidays. Whether you are doing something super cultural off your own back, or whether you're going into a tour operator and booking, for your 2 weeks that you go away every year, there must be something really quite special about being part of that process with people.
Absolutely, because no 2 days were ever the same. One moment I'd be booking someone the dream honeymoon for them. The next I was getting really involved with a Canadian itinerary that included obviously the Rocky Mountaineer, a cruise obviously around Alaska to go whale watching, and then obviously city exploring in Toronto. Then you'd just have your groups of 18 to 30s lads that came in, and you'd have such a good laugh with them, booking the holiday smuggle up. You never quite knew what was going to sit down in front of you, so you would always wait with bated breath when you started talking about their brief and what they were looking for. But it was so much fun.
Yeah, I can imagine how varied. I can really imagine how varied that must have been. But also, you must now be a whiz at putting travel itineraries together.
It's the one thing I miss. I absolutely, I'm a bit sad, really. I'll sit on Skyscan and think where I can go all the time and what I can do and where I can fly from to in different countries. And
you're not sad. I do that. I don't even have a travel background, and I do that all the time.
It's just fun. I think it's something that will stay with me, even though I'm not obviously in travel anymore. I'm a planner. I like to plan things.
And so, what was the most crazy itinerary or holiday that you put together for someone?
Oh, wow. That is a really good question. I mean, I go back to that Canadian one that I was just sort of talking about a moment ago. You get someone that sits in front of you, gives you an itinerary and asks for suggestions, and you put it all together. And it came back at £20,000.
Wow.
For 2 people for about 3 weeks worth of travelling. And then he just went, yeah, let's book it.
Wow, wow.
And it's kind of one of those moments where you kind of, like, your heart just, it starts beating. You're like, it's just going to part with £20,000. And, it was mind-blowing. So, it's one of those things where, because it was a massive itinerary, I really got my teeth into all the different airline carriers and different hotel options for him, obviously different cabin types on the cruise that they were going on, the different levels of the Rocky Mountaineer. I did all different manners of variations of it for him, ranging from going from like the red leaf right up to the gold leaf, or going from an inside tiny cabin right up to a massive suite with a jacuzzi on the balcony on the cruise.
Oh my god.
And he just went with the most expensive one, and you're like, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah,
That
okay,
is
that's a
incredible.
jaw-dropping day, right?
Yeah, yeah. I must admit, I was, rubbing my fingers a little bit after that. I'm not gonna lie, but it, I put together someone's perfect itinerary that they were happy to spend £20,000 with someone that they didn't know but trusted implicitly to give them the holiday of a lifetime.
That's such a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Conversely, you must have some interesting stories and anecdotes about fun customers. Should we call them? We'll call them fun customers,
Of course.
as opposed to really awful human beings that have come
Yeah.
in to book with you. Do you have any stories that you're able to share?
I'm gonna say, do you know what? I've never had anything too bad. Um, it was more sort of the complaints that you would get after someone had been on holiday. Things that were completely out of your control, like, oh, the plane was too cold, and when we were traveling, and
Oh
oh,
my
the food,
God.
they didn't serve chips at the hotel. Really sort of mundane things that you just think, oh my God, you're on holiday. Enjoy yourself, love. Enjoy yourself. Just because you've not got chips does not ruin your holiday. But no, not off the top of my head. I can't remember anything of any significance that I could share with you, really.
Do you
I'm a
think?
bit boring.
No, that's amazing. It means that humans have been good, which we all love.
Yeah.
That's a nice place to be. Do you think kind of your background in travel and kind of putting these hotel holidays together and hotels and stuff, has that made you more or less tolerant when things are not quite? I'm quite. I get quite fussy. I'm not. I would
Mhm.
never complain about not having chips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, I've had a couple of quite interesting hotel experiences, and I think I have behaved impeccably.
Yeah.
And it's normally my husband that gets the brunt of my total rage,
I
which is
think my
probably
husband
as
would
it
agree with
should
that.
be. But do you think because of your background and kind of knowing the pitfalls and things that can happen when you're away, has that made you more or less tolerant when things are not quite right when you travel yourself?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting worse in my older age. We went to when we were 19. Me and my husband went to Corfu. We paid £280 for a week all
Oh,
inclusive.
those were the days.
I know, and it was. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
The shittest, most horriblest hotel I've ever been to. Like there were dead flies in the pool. The food
Oh
was like
God.
slop. We were in Greece, and it was a Scottish man who just made slop all the time. And if you had soup for a starter, it would be like salt and pepper, just so you couldn't taste it. It was just things breaking around you, and oh, but we made it an experience for ourselves. We hired a quad and we got the heck out of there every day and enjoyed ourselves, and then just came back and got sloshed on the cheap vodka at night.
Perfect.
But obviously, back then when we were 19, we really didn't care. But now I've had a few experiences in the last year where I've just been like, holy moly, I need these standards to be high. I was really, really ill in the Dominican
Oh,
Republic back in September.
yeah, I remember
Yeah,
you
like
saying.
it knocked me for six. I don't know what it was, because they always say, if you drink too much alcohol, you can get dehydrated. Well, I hardly drank a thing on that holiday, but
Yeah.
that's by the by. Unfortunately, the room was not up to scratch. It smelt of oh, it smelt really bad, foisty mold. So and just things weren't dealt with as quickly as possible. Then we went to Rome in March, and
Oh, your hotel. You had such a nightmare with your
oh,
hotel, didn't you?
the hotel. Well, it was like a little like pension guest house sort of thing, and the room flooded. So we were meant to have this gorgeous little room with a balcony overlooking the Via del Corso. I was imagining drinking coffee on there every morning. You picture it in your head, and then we had to go stay at a hotel that they had luckily sorted out for us, which was really lovely of them. And don't get me wrong, the standard was great, but it had no window.
Uh,
And that just ruined that little Roman dream that I'd had. And then we've just been to Ibiza. It was amazing, but the room just looked onto a brick wall. So like the last year, they're not like massively bad things, but have impacted how I sort of envisage my holiday going.
And
And yeah,
I think that's the kind of thing that can happen to a lot of people, and
mm,
it's certainly happened to me a few times. How do you get out of that? Because if you let it rumble on, it can kind of
yeah.
ruin the holiday. So how do you get over that?
Okay, I stamp my feet and have a little cry for 10 minutes.
Good.
Then my husband tells me to stop being silly, crack on with it, roll with the punches. We're not here to sit in the bedroom. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let's go enjoy ourselves. There's no point wallowing in it, because you like I was saying about people who get annoyed that there aren't chips, or their room is up 2 flights of stairs. What is the point? You spend your hard-earned money working so hard to have these experiences, to let things like that ruin a holiday. It's just not worth it. It's really not worth it.
I think that is absolutely a sentiment that I'm sure everyone listening can get behind, because we've all been there when something
Yeah,
has gone wrong or is not quite right, or because you spend quite a lot of time picturing kind of yourself on holiday. For
you
me,
do.
like, that's half the fun, is kind
Yeah.
of picturing that stuff. I think if it's not quite how you pitched it in your head, it does take a little bit of a shift in mindset to kind of get
Mhm.
yourself back on that holiday track.
Yes.
So you've described over kind of the course of our chat kind of a few different types of holidays that you've been on.
Mm.
How do you like to travel? Like, what's your favourite type of travelling?
Really good question. I like something that I know is going to be a good standard, albeit obviously what we've just discussed sometimes doesn't always happen. Um, I do predominantly travel on package holidays, unless I am travelling to a city break,
Yeah.
where I'll depackage things and obviously get flights, hotels, and everything separately. But the one thing that we really do enjoy when we go on our what you would class as summer holidays is hiring quads.
I know. I was going to ask you about that because you mentioned that before, and then I know that in Ibiza you hired quads as well. So talk to me about your quad biking.
Quad biking. Well, I don't drive, because if we did, we'd probably be dead by now. So no more travel experiences for me. So we started hiring them when that first holiday we went to Corfu, because my husband is a farmer's son. He's really, really good on quad bikes. He's driven them since a young age. So what I will stress is you have to be very, very, very safe on these things.
Absolutely.
They are hard to drive. So you make sure you are confident that you can obviously not roll yourself off a hill, because you can do some nasty damage. But when we went to Corfu, it was kind of our saving grace. It took us around the whole island, and we just got to explore different destinations from a different view, because a lot of people do go on holiday to sit on the beach and drink cocktails, and that's great. And for the most part, yes, I enjoy doing that too. But kind of when I go somewhere, I want to experience the island in a little bit more depth, go off the beaten track. So when we went to Kefalonia, we went up to the top of Mount Anus, which that always makes me laugh. So
Sorry, I was just stifling a little giggle, so I'm really glad that you giggled too, because I'm a child. I laugh at silly jokes, so yeah, we can all get that out of our system.
It's good, right? Whew. And so we got this. I think it was a 250cc, and we were like literally pushing ourselves, like bumping our bums on this quad bike, trying to get us up the hill, because it was just so high. But when we got to the top of the mountain, and these this huge flock of mountain goats just came out of nowhere with bells.
Oh my
No one
God.
around. We were like, what is going on? This is so weird. But then the view that we had down on the island was just incredible. And sitting on a sun lounger is just, in my eyes, and I do not disrespect anyone that wants to do that, you are not going to get those experiences. To me, I might as well have stayed at home if I don't see the islands in more depth. And that's, the quad bike plays a massive part in that.
I agree. So until really recently, actually, we weren't. So myself and my husband weren't really city break people, and I think because we didn't travel for ages because we were trying to buy a house and because of work. And so I'm just been on this mission to just see as much as possible. But until that point, we kind of did the whole 2 week away every year, and that was it. And we invariably would book package holidays. So we've done packages to Mexico, Cyprus, although we've done Cyprus independently as well. Where else? Cuba, most recently, and also early years of our relationship, Costa Rica, when it was a little bit harder to kind of do Costa Rica off your own back if you weren't used to traveling off your own back. I'm kind of down with it, but Mr. Sparrow, he enjoys his comfort, so that's cool. He's never going to go on a backpacking holiday, and he doesn't camp either, so that's kind of where we're at. And I've always then got out. I've either booked excursions or we've hired a car and kind of seen things. But it's very interesting how there is a little bit of snobbery, I think, that's existed. So Cuba, for example, we saw a lot of Cuba, even though we stayed in Varadero for 2 weeks. We were out a lot. And I got I got a lot of snobbery back about, oh, wow, you booked a 2 week all-inclusive in Cuba. Oh, how sanitized for you. And I think, that's one view and that's one opinion. But I do think there's ways, and, as you've described, getting out on a quad, or whether that's a quad or an excursion or a normal car that's slightly easier to drive if you're not married to someone from the farming industry. There are ways to kind of have the best of both worlds, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, I could not agree more. It's like, as we've both been to Mexico and seemingly to the same hotel.
Yes, I keep forgetting we've been to the same hotel.
I know, but it's amazing. It's amazing, and I keep saying I would love to go back, but we would walk to the end of that long road, as you'll know, and hop on the local bus for what was the equivalent of 50p up to Tulum.
Yes.
And we'd come back and people would look at us in shock and horror that we'd use local transport to go out and explore. And we're like, well, what were we not meant to? Were we not meant to go out and do these things? So
we got 2 buses back at 4 a.m. from Cancun to that hotel once, because you couldn't get a bus directly to Cancun. You had to get a bus to Playa del Carmen and then another bus to Cancun. And that, was a little bit hairy, but we did
experience.
It. Yeah,
exactly. But I think things like that make us, more tolerable of things. We kind of go,
definitely.
Our buses back home aren't that bad, when you're all cramming everyone off the building sites and you've got, senorita coming back from the market and, it's just, and you're all cramped together and because it's so hot, the smell is unbearable and it's, oh my God. But yeah, I think things like that just make you richer and a bit more grounded as a person.
Yeah, and I also
getting stuck in.
Yeah, and I think if you've not travelled that much, I've never backpacked or anything like that. I didn't do a gap year for many reasons. So it's only really when I've been planning kind of our Europe stays, which granted are a little bit different to planning, a backpacking holiday around Asia. I've got more confident in being able to kind of do stuff over my own steam. But if you're a person that's listening that hasn't travelled that much and you kind of want to still experience the world, I think booking a package holiday and then seeing what you can do when you get to your end destination gives you that kind of mix of a bit of home comfort. Obviously, free drinks are literally the most amazing thing about booking an all-inclusive holiday. It's like the best thing in the world. Why wouldn't you want to do that? But it gives you that best of both worlds, so you can still go out and do a bit of exploring in a way that feels a little bit safer if you've not had many travel experiences before.
I definitely agree with that. Again, going back to Mexico, although we did travel a little bit around in the sort of vicinity of the area that we were staying in, we still did our trip through Thompson's to Chichen Itza.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we did, because it got us early access. It was a really early start, but so worth it, because obviously they got in early, the sun wasn't beaming down on you. So there's pluses to obviously booking excursions through your tour operator or through the hotel, because usually they sort of got a little back entrance that you can get into, and it just makes it a more comfortable experience for you.
Yeah, we had a similar... So Yes, definitely. And actually, a lot of the time they use a local tour company. So you book through
Yeah.
Thompson's, but it's all locally run, which I love. But actually,
Yes.
we had a similar experience when we went to Rome, and we booked. So we did quite a lot off our own steam, but
Yes.
the Vatican, we were kind of really aware of queues and all of the things. And also, I kind of really wanted someone to take me around so I knew what I was looking at, because
Yeah.
it's not like, even if I go back to Rome, I'm unlikely to go back to the Vatican again. I wanted to see it. It's not entirely my bag, but I wanted to see it. So
Same.
so
Yeah.
we booked a walking tour through Walks of Italy,
Mm.
and it meant that we kind of got in through the back door. And actually, interestingly, when we went into, so we did. The main kind of Vatican Museum,
Yeah.
and then we went to the Sistine Chapel, and then
Mhm.
when everyone leaves the Sistine Chapel, you leave out of one door, but if you're in
Yes.
special groups, you leave out of a different door, which gets you into St. Peter's Basilica
It
without having to
does.
queue. And I was like, bingo.
Why would you not do it?
It's
Because I mean, the queue to get in, to go back in, hours,
absolute
wasn't
hours,
it?
and then
So
you're spending your whole day, when in actual fact we kind of started at 9, we finished by lunchtime, and
yeah,
then we could go and drink wine, so it was the best ever. And actually,
win-win.
yeah, and the tour guide with that, he was half Italian and half German, which makes for the most hilarious mix. And he was a PhD, he was an art professor.
Wow.
Like, what he did not know about what was going on the Sistine Chapel ceiling is not worth knowing about. And I kind of think I would look up and go, well, that's nice. But before we went in, he got out his diagram and showed us what everything was and what it all meant. And so that meant when I looked up, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. And now I understand it, and I'm looking out
Yeah.
for things. So I think, yeah, there are definitely pluses and minuses to booking tours.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've been to a lot of places, which is super exciting. You've described many of them. Do you have a favourite destination of all?
Really, really difficult. There's two.
I'll let you have two if you can't decide.
Can I have a top three?
All right, go, because I'm feeling nice. You can have a top three.
Thank you, thank you. So, I would probably put Mexico up there, as I probably sort of talked your ear off about it.
Yeah.
The standards of the hotels over there are just impeccable,
Yeah.
like no other. The beaches are gorgeous. The people are so friendly. The food is amazing. If you want an all-inclusive experience and you want to do it, well, without having to pay an absolute fortune, Mexico is probably like the one place that I would tell you.
I would
And
agree.
then,
I did I did honeymoon, and so we could afford to splash out a bit. And because it was a special holiday, and yeah, I would agree. The standard of hotels out there is, for the money, I think, like, if you're not got all of the dollar to go and do something insane in like the Maldives or Mauritius, I think Mexico's a really good alternative.
Definitely. I loved it, and I'm desperate to go back. And sort of my next two are kind of joint first, just because obviously they have happy experiences for both of me. So if people do read my blog, they'll know that I absolutely love Amsterdam.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm home when I'm there. I feel safe, despite what some people might tell you.
My God, I think Amsterdam is one of the. I mean, I think it's one of the safest places. I went this year. I couldn't even tell you where the red light district was. Couldn't even tell you where it was.
We've been down there, but do you know what I mean? You do feel safe. There's something about it, and I think it's just this lovely sort of attitude that they have. It's very carefree. There's just something about that city that just resonates with me. And if I had money, lots and lots of money, I would probably buy an apartment, like a nice penthouse apartment on Leicester near Vondel Park, and just be able, because obviously we've got flights from Leeds Bradford every single day there. They're not that expensive. You could just hop over for the weekend and enjoy yourself, enjoy good food, lovely walks, a lot of culture with the museums. It's just such a well-rounded, nice city, and even though it's a city, you don't feel like you're on top of one another.
And I also feel that Amsterdam, so I went recently with Beverly and Sophie, also both travel bloggers, and they'd already been before, so I just went for the jolly because I was like, yay, it would be really cool. And I didn't really see anything cultural, which was fine. And we had an absolute blast, which sort of shows me that actually it's the kind of city you could go to again and again and again and still have a really awesome time wandering the canals, having a beer, you know.
I mean, we've been 4, 5 times now, and there's still things that we've not seen and done. And even though it's not a massive city, it's quite amazing to think that there's still more places to be explored and experienced whilst we're there. So, you know, we'll definitely need to fit another little trip in there sometime soon. But we tend to go in the winter. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see, obviously, you went sort of, was it it's sort of spring,
Yeah,
early
we went
summertime?
mid-May. We went midway, yeah, and it was really. We had a little bit of rain, but
did, but
generally speaking, it was great. We just wandered around like just thin jackets on. Yeah,
it was just so nice to see all pictures though of all the wisteria growing up the buildings. I've never ever been there other than when I was a lot younger and probably don't remember it as well. And you know, just seeing it all in bloom and all the tulips and everything, it would be nice to see it in that state, as opposed to being a little bit cold and chilly and seeking refuge with hot chocolates and
yeah.
but yeah, so I'm going on about Amsterdam. That's how much I love it. And like my top destination, that was our honeymoon, and we went to Sorrento and the Amalfi Coast.
Oh wow.
And it was just incredible. That was again another holiday that we enjoyed the beach, but we got out on local trains and buses and experienced sort of all that part of the world, and it was just beautiful. We spent 10 nights there, and the reason we chose Italy was because we got married in June, and obviously you can't really go, well, you can if you really want to risk it, but you've got monsoon season if you go to the Far East, you've got hurricane season if you go to the Caribbean. So we just, you know, it was one of those things that we didn't want to risk too much, so we thought, right, let's stay in Europe. But where can we go in Europe that is mind-blowing? And the Amalfi Coast, well, it is just picture perfect. It is the most beautiful place I've ever been in my entire life. And if you get a chance to go there, or anyone that's listening gets a chance to go there, it is just insane, and you wouldn't regret it. You'll probably never see anything as beautiful as that.
Yeah,
I think.
I've become super obsessed with Italy, and I went to Naples earlier this year, and we didn't have enough time to go and see Sorrento or anywhere, but we went to the top of Mount Vesuvius and looked over sort of the bay and beyond, and I absolutely want to go to the Amalfi Coast and Sorrento.
You have to.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, and I've become so... Italy is the place where I feel super comfortable now.
Yeah.
I adore it. I've been to 4 different cities in Italy now, which obviously only really scratches the surface of what Italy's got to offer, but I feel super comfortable. I've never solo travelled before, but I would happily go to Italy on my own. I think it's such an amazing destination. I mean, the food in Italy is just, you know...
Oh, carborific.
Yeah, it's just the best.
But amazing.
Yeah, it's just the
So
best.
good.
So that I really want to go to the 2 places that I've seen where the pictures make me die is the Amalfi Coast and Santorini.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, these 2 would be awesome.
The views off Santorini, I can just imagine, just been beautiful.
Yeah,
I'd love to go. It was a toss up between Santorini and Sorrento and the Amalfi Coast, because my husband's parents, some 25 years ago, they honeymooned in Santorini. And
I bet it's very different now.
Very, very different, because they actually put us off wanting to go for a little while. So that's why we sort of jumped ship and thought, right, actually, let's do Sorrento and Amalfi Coast. And somebody else that I knew had just honeymooned there and were just ranting and raving about it. So I was like, nah, I'm going to get me some of that, and we'll do Santorini another time. We're still yet to get there, but there's still time.
There is plenty of time. Yeah. So do you have a destination that you've got? I'm not going to say like what's your worst destination, because I think every place will have something about it. But is there a place that you're not in a rush to go back?
Do you know what? No, I think I'd go back to all the different destinations. However, I would do one destination a little bit different, and that is the Dominican, just purely and simply because obviously I was quite ill, and the hotel probably wasn't of the best standard. So I'd probably just redo the Dominican again because the beaches out there are insane.
Oh my God, they are. I've been twice, but years ago. So I went when I was 15. My parents
Yeah.
went there on their honeymoon, and then a year later, no, sorry, it was when I was 16. At the end of my GCSEs, I went, and then with my then boyfriend, that we promptly split up when I started uni. But anyway, we did. We went back to the same hotel and did a
Yeah.
2-week all inclusive at the same hotel. And it was phenomenal, but I kind of feel like at that age I just wasn't appreciating. I was just all about that all-inclusive booze when I was 18.
I think
so
that's got to be all about that. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd just maybe research my hotels a little bit better, and probably not been as quite as thrifty as I was trying to be.
yeah,
Maybe just paid even just £100 per person more, so we've got a slightly better standard of hotel. And then I think we don't know for definite, but maybe would have had a much better experience, because I was absolutely gutted, because I was for that week just not bedridden, just on a sun lounger,
yeah.
no less than 5 meters away from a toilet, shall we say, and we'll leave it at that. I'm sure that's a little bit too much information for your listeners, but yeah. So if I could do something differently, that would be what I would choose, I think, because I've not been anywhere that I've not thoroughly enjoyed, and even though I was ill, I really tried to not let it.
You can see the benefit.
Me.
You can see the good points of it, which I think is really good.
Because that beach was just mind blowing.
Yeah, I do think the Dominican have got some of the best beaches.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
So, what are your future travel plans?
Well, keeping it close to home at the moment, we're going to Anglesey later on this month. Well, August. I'm not sure when you're putting this out, but we've probably been and gone.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, I'm working on some content at the moment for the travel side, obviously part of my blog. And fingers crossed, at the end of September, we'll be heading to Lisbon.
Oh my God, Lisbon. So if you were to ask me my favourite destination, it's Lisbon. Yeah, Lisbon is the best.
I was like, I need to speak to Sam about Lisbon, because she's going to give me all the tips. And those tarts, what are they called?
Pastai di nata.
Yeah, you did a whole blog post.
I did a whole blog post dedicated them, because they are phenomenal. Why wouldn't you have a whole blog post dedicated to custard tarts?
Exactly. So I'm coming to you for some tips.
Oh my God, you will adore Lisbon.
I can't wait. Can you give me one tip about Lisbon?
Okay, so
I'm putting you on the spot.
Put me on the spot. So my best tip, I think, about Lisbon is I think it's pretty much a walkable city, I would say.
Yeah.
But they have a tram called the number 28, and that goes round pretty much most of the centre of Lisbon, and it will take you up to Alfama, which is kind of up in the hills. So Lisbon's pretty hilly, so get your don't take stilettos, get your walking boots on. And the views, Alfama is very different to the rest of Lisbon, I feel, but it's amazing. The views up there are incredible. There's a cathedral and a castle up there that you can go to. So that's really amazing. But I think my top tip for Lisbon is to get on one of the regional trains and get out to Sintra, which is about 40 minutes away. So if you've seen any pictures from kind of Sintra or Lisbon, it's got the multicoloured castle that looks like it's out of Disney.
Oh my gosh. I've had to Google this as we're talking right now, because that looks incredible. Yeah, that looks like something out of a fairy tale.
Yeah, it's about €4 to go. Sadly, we went on a very foggy day, but it was still incredible. And so that's Pina Palace. And so in Sintra, there's kind of 3 levels, and you need to get You need to just jump on buses to go up, because you cannot walk it. And there's like an old Moorish castle, which is great. And then you go up another level into Pina Park, which has got the Pina Palace, which is that multicoloured palace. And then a big park to explore with views and everything. You spend a whole day there. It's dreamy.
It looks Beautiful.
It's super dreamy. And we went in January, and it was still like an incredible time. And then food-wise, in the centre of Lisbon, there's a place called Bon Jardim. I can't take the credit for this tip because Sophie Cliff from sophiecliff.com told me to go there, and obviously I went, and it was amazing. It's chicken and chips, but so it's like Nando's. It's peri chicken and chips, but it's like €6, and you paint on the peri oil yourself on the chicken, and it's just round a back street, locals, dirt cheap, the best chicken I've ever eaten. In fact, I haven't enjoyed Nando's since January.
Really?
And Nando's was like my top food, so...
I'm so scared now, because do I want to ruin that Nando's experience?
You do want to ruin Nando's for this.
I'm going to do it.
You do need to ruin Nando's for this. It is the best. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And so you talked about staying close to home. So you don't live right in Leeds, do you? You live in the country.
Countryside. That was a really terrible accent. I apologise. So we live about 25 minutes outside of Leeds city centre, in a little village, and it's in what is classed as the Golden Triangle. So we are nearly equal distance between York, Leeds, and Harrogate. So
oh my God, that's incredible.
So we're really super lucky to live where we live. Because we just got the best of both worlds. We like walking, we like getting outdoors. As I say, husband's a farmer's son, so constantly down on the farm. So it's just, it's lovely. I love where we are.
So that's where all the pictures of cute animals come from?
Of course, yeah.
Right. I've got it now. Stalk the Instagram, because cute animal pictures are all over the shop. So I'm asking everyone that's come on the podcast, what would be their tip for their home place? So if someone was coming to your neck of the woods, what would you tell them to do?
Oh, wow, really good question. We live quite close to the River Wharfe, and you can take like a walk from Tadcaster, probably even further than Tadcaster. I don't even know where the River Wharfe starts, from Tadcaster all the way into Wetherby, or you could do it the other way. And it is just that typical countryside-esque. You'll meet cows along the way. You just got to get really stuck in with the outdoors around here. That's what I would say, definitely. Embrace the mud.
So bring your wellies, bring your pack-a-mac.
Yeah, because it rains a lot. Rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. But I mean, to venture out, there's beautiful places like Ilkley and Otley. So there's like the Cairncalf, Ilkley, with amazing views.
Oh, I've seen Harrogate. So many pictures, because basically I am friends with lots of bloggers from this area, which is a bit upsetting for me.
You need to come live here. Not gonna happen.
My husband would love for us to move to Manchester. I don't. It's probably not going to happen, if I'm honest. But I'm quite sad that I didn't live there. But I've seen loads of pictures of all of the people I know and love up the Cow and Calf, and the views just look insane.
It is gorgeous. There's loads of places like that. So you've got Brimham Rocks, you've got Plumpton Rocks, basically things based around big rocks, high up.
Perfect.
Weirdly. It's a really sort of, I don't know, just a relaxing place to be. And then we've also got Betty's. So if you need a good afternoon tea, you want to do it traditional, the Yorkshire way, you've got to go to Betty's in York or Harrogate. You have to.
I went to Betty's. I went to
rites of passage.
Yeah, I went to Harrogate years ago, and I'd like to go back. But I did the Betty's in, is it Harlow Carr, the RHS Gardens? I went to the Betty's in there for afternoon tea. And it was amazing. That's a top tip. So what would your be, if given that you are a travel agent extraordinaire and an extremely experienced traveller, what's your one travel tip?
All about before you go. Delete those cookies on your screen. If you are constantly checking flight prices, there is someone at the other end checking to see how many hits a flight gets. So that means when someone's constantly hitting a flight, checking flights, they bump the price up because they know there's demand for it. So before you go on to book your flight, delete the cookies, delete your browsing history, even maybe use a different browser on your computer. And you're going to save yourself a heck of a lot of money.
Oh my God, I know this tip and I'm so
Yeah.
bad at doing it, and I'm trying to do more budget stuff. So that is a top tip that I'm going to start following.
Definitely. And whilst you're there, just explore. If you're not an explorer, you don't have to. But for me, I think if you've got that in you and you want to go see and do things, hire a car or hire a quad. As I say, safety first.
Or find a farmer's son or daughter to marry that can drive you on a quad. That's an option too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It works for me. So, just get out there and experience new things, take things on the chin, eat good food and enjoy yourself, because these are once in a lifetime opportunities that, sometimes you might never be able to do again.
That is amazing. I have one last question, and it's probably the hardest question I've asked you. But I'm going to let you go back to your evening. What would you say that travel means to you?
That is a hard question. For me, it's about broadening what I know about the world and understanding things a little bit better. I just think, again, I don't want it to sound snobby, but I just think you become very much more worldly and more aware of things around you if you travel and understand different cultures and meet new people from different walks of life. I think that's a huge thing, and you get more tolerant to things, I think.
I love that. That's part of the number one reason I travel is for food, but that would be the second reason. That would be...
No, maybe, I think I'll just cancel that answer, and I think I'll go with food. And getting a tan is pretty nice as well.
Oh, see, I'm a ginger. I'm a ginger at heart. Like tanning, I went to Australia for 4 weeks. I am never going to tan. I came back from Cuba paler than what I went. Like... That's not going to happen for me, but I can eat all the food, so I'm okay with that.
I'm down with that.
So, for people that are listening to this podcast, where can people find you online?
So you can find me at queenbeady.com. That's where obviously I blog about travel, fashion and lifestyle. But you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest under the same alias at Queen Beady, which is the same on all of them. And I just generally post stupid gifs, talk about absolute crap, don't really make much sense. I'm in my own little world, to be honest with you. But I try and post pretty pictures on Instagram, so please do come and check that out.
Bee is a top-level Instagrammer, so if you're looking for incredible destination pictures, as well as cute pictures of animals and local life in the Northwest, then that is definitely for you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been a real... I found out some stuff about you, and I'm nosy, so this is awesome. But also, I think some of your experiences of actually working in the travel industry have been really enlightening. And so I think listeners will be able to take quite a lot of tips and tricks away from what we've discussed.
Oh, I'm very glad. And thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of The Travelust, and I hope we've managed to inspire you to think about your next trip. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you gave it a little review and rating on iTunes or your podcast player of choice, so even more people can find their inner travel lust. Until next time, have a safe journey.